Welcome back to the Too Much Woman channel, where we celebrate women who refuse to shrink, silence, or apologize for the fullness of who they are. Today, I have the absolute privilege of speaking to Dr. Anne Whitehouse, a trailblazer, scientist, author, and power alchemist, whose groundbreaking work helps women dismantle invisible barriers and reclaim their unapologetic visibility. From her own journey of burnout in academia to becoming a leader in subconscious reprogramming and energetic empowerment, Anne has dedicated her life to helping women step out of survival mode, release the fear of being too much, and embody their true feminine power. This is going to be a conversation about breaking free from the subconscious patterns that keep us small, rewiring for visibility, and owning every ounce of our brilliance. Anne, I am so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's my absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. I've jotted down a few questions that I'm going to use, so let's jump right in.
Okay.
And let's start with your personal journey.
Mm-hmm.
What is the defining moment that led you to this work on power, visibility, and energetic transformation?
Okay. Well, it's a long story, but I'll give you the highlights. There's really two key things. I'd spent my early career as a scientist working in engineering, a young woman in my mid-20s, and I experienced a very toxic energy. My health collapsed. I had no idea why. And I found myself at, I guess I must have been about 28, 29, and I was completely burnt out. But more than that, it was ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, we call it now. And I literally was too weak to pick up a pen and write on a birthday card. And that was the defining moment, if you like, because I was there thinking, oh my God, is this my life? Is my life over? You know, I've got all these decades ahead of me, and is this it? Is this it? Because at that point, conventional medicine had said, we can't help you. You've got ME, good luck and goodbye. That's literally what I got. So at that point, it was like a real, yeah, like you say, defining moment, because I can remember lying there and thinking, I am not prepared to let this be my life. I don't care what it takes. I don't care how far I have to get out of my comfort zone, bearing in mind that at the time I was a real 3D scientist, really not in, I'd never even heard of the energetic world at all. I didn't care. I would do anything, but I thought to myself, there is a way, there is a solution to this. I'm determined to get my life back. I don't care what it takes. And that decision literally opened up doors in the universe, if you like. And that's where ideas and books and opportunities began to come in. And that opened the door, which has led to everything else. So that was the first defining moment. The second defining moment was much later in 2014, when my daughter died very suddenly when she was 87. And it was that took me beyond what had been thought possible before. So all the modalities that I'd learned, the tools that I'd had, nothing was working with the awful, awful place that I was in. And in my absolute desperation, that's when I began to experiment with energy, experiment with the field. And that is what led me to discover how power is actually working on this very deep energetic level for women.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry. I broke my own promise. It's very, I've often wondered how you actually got through that. But that's a conversation for another time.
That's another conversation, yes.
And you speak about the subconscious holding women back in ways that we don't even realize. What are some of the most common patterns or energetic blocks you see in high-achieving women?
Oh, goodness me. So here's the thing. The patterning for a high achieving woman is really we push ourselves, we are driven, but we deep down never feel that we're good enough. We are no matter what we achieve, it still doesn't feel like success. It doesn't feel as if we have proved what we need to prove or whatever. So we push harder and harder and harder. And a lot of that comes back to us as feeling not good enough, feeling inadequate, feeling unsafe, feeling that we have to keep on censoring ourselves over and over and over again. So that then leads us to think there's something wrong with me, right? I have to change something about me. I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point is that this is not the root at all. What we've got is something very, very much deeper. And it's like a whispering, sabotaging programming that's in the subconscious. And it's literally saying, not you're not good enough. It's saying, you've gone too far. You are going to be killed for this. You are going to be punished for this. And so it creates this big hidden motivation that says, you cannot do this. And it's trying to drag us out.
So, Anne, many of us have internalized the fear of being too much. In your view, how do subconscious patterns contribute to women silencing or shrinking themselves, even when they consciously want to be seen?
Right. So this is really the whole problem. The whole problem. So think about it like this. We are 21st century women. We've had opportunity, we've had education, we have aspiration. In many countries, we also have freedom that allows us to then do what we actually want with our lives, as opposed to you have to get married and have babies and that's all there is. So we have this, this thing that our ancestors never had, okay? But here's the problem. We are the women on the transition. And what that means is that in our subconscious, all of the old programming is still there, okay? Mm-hmm. So what that means is that when I say old programming, I mean the programming of patriarchy, which is saying literally things like, you have to obey men, you're not as good as men, you're not as clever as men, you can't control the money, you can't have a career, you certainly can't have authority over men, and you certainly can't be, as in my case, a PhD scientist and an academic in charge of male engineering students. That is completely and utterly forbidden, right? So we have all this programming within us. So when I say this, it's not that I'm speculating. I've actually measured this, dug into the subconscious mind for over many years for many people, and we all have it. And here's the thing I really want you to absorb, that what is in your subconscious disagrees completely with your conscious belief about the world, about what you're allowed, what you can do, your freedoms, your rights, your entitlements as a 21st century woman. That has nothing to do with all this ancient programming, right? So your subconscious looks at its programming, and that's how it sees the world. It says, these are the rules. It looks at precedent. It looks at history. It looks at family patterns. It goes back, back, back. So when you then move into your chosen career, your mission, whatever that is, you can guarantee that it is going to be disagreeing with what your subconscious thinks you should be. Right? So when we go into those places and spaces and we begin to take up more space and begin to speak up and take on leadership and authority, instead of just being submissive and in the shadows and just supporting all the men, what the subconscious is going to say is, oh my God, look at the list of benchmarks and rules that I think she has to obey because she's a woman. Is she ticking those boxes? No, she's not. Right? None of those boxes are being ticked. So it's then going to think, oh my God, she's in real danger. And here's the next important point I want to get over. So it doesn't say, right, I'm looking at me, 21st century British woman who has legally equality to do whatever she likes within the law of the land, right? Doesn't see that. It says, right, what is the punishment in my reference bank for a woman who does this? So this leads us to one of my favorite subjects, the witch wound, right? So you may or may not have heard of this, but I'll just explain exactly what that means. We are living in a world that has a really big history of powerful women being persecuted, tortured, put to death in hideous ways. Mm-hmm. And it's not just Europe, it's not just America, it's not just, it's all over the world, over all religions or cultures or nationalities. It's a pattern that has been everywhere. And it's so big that it's in everybody's ancestry. It's in the history field, the past lives, the group consciousness. It's everywhere. So your subconscious is looking at you in your career and it's saying, right, oh my God, she's breaking all the rules on my list. What does that mean? Witch wound triggers, she's going to die for this. She's going to be put to death. So it thinks, I have to save her. Doesn't matter what the cost is. So at that point, it will begin to trigger every single sabotage mechanism in the book because it's trying to save your life. So for example, when I was in my lectureship doing my burnout, my subconscious believed absolutely I was going to be executed for having that career, for having that authority over men, for being in that man's world, which was utterly forbidden. And I even used to say to people that I felt as if I was going to my execution just going into work. It felt that stressful. I had that my anxiety was that high. So I know that's a long preamble. So this is what we're dealing with. Your subconscious is trying to save your life. It will do anything to do that. So it will start by saying, you're not good enough, you're a fraud. It will start by reducing your confidence. It will start by stopping you from speaking up clearly in that meeting or from giving a good presentation because it's like, she can't let her do it. I can't let her show that she has power because she's going to be put to death for this. So it begins to sabotage you. So you may have started off confident, but then over time, it's going to begin to be eroded by this. And then if you're not listening to the subconscious, and I wasn't listening, it then begins to get more desperate. In my case, it began to sabotage my health. And it destroyed my health to such a point that I could not set foot in that workplace any longer. Because my subconscious said, I cannot let her do that. I don't care that I've ruined her health. All that matters is I get her out of it. So you see that this subconscious process is it's actually a life and death thing. So that's why the levels of stress are so high. The sabotage that turns up is so high. And it's on the surface, it looks completely out of proportion. But the subconscious doesn't understand the present, it understands its reference. And its reference is she is breaking the rules and is going to be executed for this. So this is what we're fighting every single day. And then we go deeper to look at this actual power mechanism. We're thinking about power as machinery, if you like. Power is not a belief. It's not, I believe I'm empowered. That's not that at all. It's, imagine that your power is like the engine of a car. You've got to have fuel in the engine to make it function. Otherwise, you're going nowhere. So when we are in our power, we have fuel in the engine, everything is working, we feel supported by that energy underneath us, and we can do things. And that's when we're going to feel safe. When all of this subconscious sabotage happens, subconscious says, I've got to give away her power. We've got to get rid of it because look what she's doing with it. So it will then cause that energy to drain away. And where does it drain to? The other people, the people who are in the position of power in the status quo. So our energy drains away, so our power goes down the effective power, not our potential power, the power we can use in the moment. And as our power goes down, our subconscious gets less and less and less safe. And so it tries to give away more power, and it's a vicious spiral in the wrong direction. So it's an enormous sabotaging mechanism from all these different sources, producing the sabotage, producing the power drain, making us feel less safe in our body. And all of this is going on under the surface for every single woman. This is what we're dealing with. So everything that you have achieved in life, right, has been with all of this going on to one extent or another, if you have stepped outside the traditional role of wife, mother, basically. So that is what we're dealing with. I know that was quite a long answer, but when you understand just how huge this mechanism is, you can understand why doing a visualization or saying, "Oh, I believe I'm a badass woman" or something, it makes no difference whatsoever. Underneath is this enormous mechanism of us fighting this big programming of patriarchy that we've just all inherited.
Well, I can definitely tell you that I relate to a lot of what you're saying. I actually got goosebumps because it's exactly what I've experienced. It's fascinating stuff. And one of the powerful messages is around rewiring our nervous system for visibility. How can women start to do this in a world that still often punishes their full expression?
Right. So that leads on exactly from where we've just finished. So the rewiring of the nervous system is really saying, how can I hold the energy of my power in a situation where naturally my power is going to be drained? Visibility is the most difficult thing for women, because as soon as we are kind of on the stage, whether that is in the boardroom, or maybe it's in the lecture hall, or maybe it's at the conference, or maybe it's online with your online business or your online mission, we are there standing up to be seen, to be heard in our authentic energy, in our authority, in our leadership, whatever that means for you. And what does our subconscious say? It says, last time I did this, I was burnt at the stake. And it says, if when I do this, I'm going to be ridiculed, I'm going to be ostracized, I'm going to be cast out from the village, and I'm going to starve. That's what it says. So we've got this thing with the visibility so hard because it then goes to, I'm on trial. So I'll put that to anyone listening to this. When you are there, standing up, talking, being seen, maybe being filmed, doing your live on Facebook, whatever it is, and you feel that audience, immediately the subconscious says, oh my God, I am on trial for my life. No man is ever going to get that from his subconscious, ever, because the programming doesn't say that to them. But for us, we stand there and we are literally on trial for our life. So the big question, and literally what I have spent years working out how to unravel, is how can we stop that power drain? So option one, reprogram the whole world and everyone in it. Good luck with that one. But one day, but not today. And certainly I can't wait that long. So the next thing is to understand that power drain, understand that mechanism, because we have so much power in our mind and in our consciousness, what we can do when we know how with the energy of that, because we're all connected through the field. Nobody is separate. That's why you feel these things, and that's why your power drains to other people, because we aren't isolated. It's as if we are in a power circuit, just like an electric circuit with light bulbs in it, and you're shining brightly, but then your power drains away and your light bulb is going to dim because you haven't got the energy going into it. So this is where we have the first key absolute game-changing thing, which is the pulling back of the power. So this is my book here, Pull Back Your Power. So this is so key, because at the time that I discovered this, it was after I'd lost my daughter, and I was putting all these things together, and something was missing. I didn't know what it was. I was getting so far with feeling much stronger in my health and all the rest of it, but something was missing. And then I was talking. I think I was booking my car in for service. You know, that can be like, I had a very sort of patronizing male mechanic on the other end of the phone who didn't know, obviously, that I was a PhD scientist, thought I was some girly, really, you know what that's like. I'm sure every woman knows how annoying that is. And somehow I was just so frustrated with this guy that in my mind's eye, I just grabbed my power and I just pulled it back while I was on the phone. And I thought, oh, wow, that feels great. and I was suddenly in a completely different power dynamic with this guy in this conversation. Wow, this is fantastic. As soon as I put the phone down, I thought, right, what did I do? What did I do? And I realized what I was doing. So let me explain. When our power drains away and our subconscious is feeling really unsafe, we've got ourselves locked into a really deep fight, flight, freeze state. And this is like when you are, say, think of the antelope on the African plains and the lion is there hunting. The antelope is the prey. It has no power and its attention is always on the horizon. Where's the danger coming? Where's the danger coming? So when you put your attention outside of yourself like that, immediately your power is draining away. So, and when your mind is in that fight or flight state, it's locked there. This is the problem. We get locked there. It's locked in the moment, like through a whole meeting, but it can get locked and be there chronically. And that's when things really begin to go bad. So I needed to find a way of unlocking it and bringing the attention back to ourselves. Because if we can bring the attention back, where you put your attention, your mental kind of in your mind's eye attention, that is when the power begins to, if firstly you stop the power drain, then the power begins to flow back to you, and then your power begins to magnify. So I have this visualization of a ball on a wire, and it's like a really rough wire, and you imagine that the ball is with the other person or the stressful situation. And when you lean out in your mind's eye, you could even do it with your arms if you're in private. You grab the ball and you pull it back, and you imagine that the wire is really rough and it's really, really hard to pull that ball back. So you're pulling it with all your might. You feel so much resistance and friction, and that pulling is what unlocks your focus from the fight or flight state. So you're pulling this ball back. Imagine it, so difficult. And then you bring it back to yourself with all your focus on it. And I usually say to imagine that it's bright and shining, sparkling, swirling colours. So your mind goes, ooh, pretty. And again, another distraction from the danger. And so you're pulling it, and then you imagine putting it inside your chest, and then with your mind's eye, you're just focusing on that ball. So simple, but it's absolutely game-changing because it's unlocked the fight or flight. It's brought your attention from the lion, if you will, back to you. And if you're holding your attention inside your body, then your power begins to magnify. Okay, so your power is now going up. The energy's returned to you. What effect does that have on your subconscious? Well, as soon as your power begins to go up, your subconscious begins to feel safe. And when it begins to feel safe, it begins to relax. And it will, hang on a minute. Maybe I'm not on trial. Maybe I'm not going to my execution. Maybe I'm just having a conversation with somebody. Maybe I'm just having an interview with somebody. Maybe I'm just giving a lecture. And it begins to see the truth of where you are, as opposed to this very, very deep reference sabotage world that it lives in. And so at that point, you find that your stress goes down, your confidence goes up, and everything begins to really flow so much better. So what you've done, you've come out of that power drain state, you've magnified your power, your subconscious realizes that you're not in danger after all. You begin to perform very, very differently in that situation. And guess what? The other person picks up on that and then feels that you have power and that you have authority and that you have credibility. And their subconscious responds to that and they begin to treat you differently. So I want to emphasize here that everybody you're dealing with has the same programming. And if they're not that aware, we can't blame them for being programmed. Either can we blame ourselves. It's the understanding. So their subconscious responds to the fact that there's a woman in this situation. My subconscious says she shouldn't be here. She should be serving the tea. And it will cause knee-jerk reactions and responses that cause all of the problems that we're also familiar with. When we are suddenly in this magnified power state, which with a little bit of practice, everybody can get, that the other person's subconscious will then see something completely different and it will start responding in a different way. And it's by doing that, this has gone into a very long answer, it's by doing that we begin to change not only our programming, but their programming as well, because they'll begin to absorb a different definition of what her energy is like in that situation. And that's how we can start to reprogram the world properly. Not by another directive from the company, but by actually changing the programming.
It's so fascinating to me, and I enjoyed this so much. And I didn't expect to get so many goosebumps in our chat. All right, next question. Let's talk about feminine power, Anne. What does embodied...
Favorite subject. Sorry, do go on.
What does embodied, unapologetic feminine power look like to you? And how is it different from the traditional models of success?
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. At the moment, really, nobody has been free to be in their true feminine power. Now, people can find that difficult to hear, so I'll explain. We are born into a world where all this programming is there from birth, and it's in our DNA and the epigenetics, and it's in the group consciousness. It's everywhere. And from birth onwards, we are being bombarded from every single level by this programming that's telling us, you can do this, you can't do that, you shouldn't look like that, you have to look like that, you can't do this in this situation, you can't go past that limit with that person because he's male, and all of this stuff. So we're in this, what I see it as, it's like a web, it's like a three-dimensional kind of web matrix, right? So everything we do, we keep hitting these rules and we have to respond to them. Now, some people are going to go into absolute rebel mode, fight mode, and they're going to take on a very aggressive masculine energy, the worst kind of masculine energy, not the enlightened divine masculine, very different thing, very aggressive masculine energy. And we've all met women like that. They're doing that, not because that's natural to them. They're doing that because, according to all of the limits in their subconscious, that's the only way they can be in order to do what they want and succeed. So that is a survival mechanism. On the other hand, you could be someone like me who never went into that energy. I tried to be myself, but the programming just kept pushing me down in breaking the rules, forbidden, punishment. And so the danger level just went up and up and up. So what did I do? Basically, I shut everything down and became invisible, trying to just crush my power and hide it. So there are really these two kinds of women. There are a few more archetypes in my book, but these are the main things. Either you're going to go really all out, pushing hard, very masculine, aggressive, toxic energy, or you're going to be shut down and just spend your life self-censoring. So both of those women can get success and have done. And obviously some people are going to have this more strongly than others, depending on your life experience, your character, and where you're going. But nobody has been free from birth to say, oh, this is me. And I can do and behave and say and dress exactly as I please. People might think that they're doing that, but they're not, because subconsciously they've got all of these rules and they are making their way through them. And what comes out the other side is the woman who's been through this patriarchal filter and has done the best she can with the situation that she was given. That's who we are at the moment. So what does fully embodied female power look like? Who knows? Who knows? But what it is, and all of my work is leading towards this, is unraveling that cage so that the parts of us that have been suppressed are able to blossom and go in whatever direction they want to. And the parts of us that had to squeeze into a box that didn't fit us, we can say, forget the box. It's not me. I'm going to do it this way. So it's that absolute freedom to have all the parts of ourselves expressed. And to add another note here, because I haven't mentioned it yet, we are living in a male default world. Every single structure, every single organization, every single way of doing things is the male default way because of history. Nobody's fault. It just is what it is. But that means that there is essentially no female default in the world. Women have always been expected, as soon as we were let into the world out of the domestic realm, we were expected to fit in. We were expected to do it the male way. And if we couldn't cope with that, because it's like a real discord in our system, then of course we're being hormonal, emotional, all of that's derogatory stuff. But there's a whole other side to female power, female default, which is more about the yin state, the being rather than the doing, and all of this, and much less linear. So the male way is very linear. So here's me, goal over there, action 1, 2, 3, 4, there I am. That's male default. The female energy is much more like, okay, I've got this beautiful empty garden and I'm going to plant a rose and I'm going to nurture the rose. And I don't know what way it's going to grow in. It could go in all kinds of directions, but I'm just going to give it this beautiful state that it can flourish. And then let's give it a bit of time. And then, wow, look what I've got. So those are the two models. And we haven't had the freedom to express the female way of doing things because it's always been negated, outlawed, laughed at, said it was unclean or dangerous or woo or some always to put it down because the female is not as good as the male in all of this programming. So to unlock all of that so that women have finally the opportunity, hopefully the next generation doesn't have to grow up through this awful cage and then desperately try to break out of the cage. We can just remove the cage so that we can flourish. And then we will see what embodied female power actually looks like.
We're at an extremely exciting time, wouldn't you agree, Anne?
Totally. I mean, I believe that those of us that are here at this time doing this work agreed to be born at this time so that we could be at the point of not being extremely young women, but having the experience of going through the transition in order to facilitate it for the next women.
Full body chills. Okay, and if a woman is watching this and she feels like, that's me, I've been hiding, I've been holding back, what is the very first step she can take to begin unlocking her full expression?
Okay, what a lovely question. Well, the first thing is a shift in awareness and mindset. So whatever I've said an awful lot, we've got quite deep, but the first thing I want everyone to remember is, oh my God, there's something going on under the surface that is absolutely sabotaging and is not my fault. So the first thing you say to yourself is, do I remember I listened to that recording? What did that woman Anne Whitehouse say? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. My subconscious is trying to stop me. It thinks I'm going to be killed. I'm breaking all the rules. It's sabotaging me. So when you bring that to mind, it's a, oh my God, I've been struggling against this all this time. So then what she does is say, right, where have I been telling myself that I've been doing things wrong, not being good enough, being inadequate? That is not the truth. That is not the truth. Because what's happened, whenever you feel not good enough, when you feel like an imposter, when you feel anxiety that you don't have confidence to do something, your conscious mind says, I'm not good enough, I'm going to get it wrong. That's what we always say. That's the female response. Oh, not good enough. I'm going to mess up. No. What's actually happening is the exact opposite. Your subconscious is saying, oh my God, you are too good. You have gone too far. You are too powerful. You are too competent. And the worst thing of all, you are going to, heaven forbid, outshine men in this situation. You're going to die for this, woman. That's what it's saying. So every time you feel I'm not good enough, which is usually where we all start with this, you say to yourself, aha, my subconscious is telling me I'm not good enough because I'm actually too good for its rules. I'm breaking the rules. And just understanding that, even while it's still doing it, just understanding that is a real shift, right? Because now you can say to yourself, okay, I've got conscious Anne in here. Conscious Anne is there. Subconscious Anne is really sabotaging me in this situation. But that you can say, right, let's be really logical. Say I've got an important presentation to give, just for an example. I'm feeling terrible. I feel that I'm going to fail, I'm going to be ridiculed, I'm going to be laughed at, but I know, my subconscious actually knows I can so nail this. It's terrified I'm going to be too good, I'm going to be burnt at the stake, I'm going to be hanged or decapitated or drowned for being a witch. Right? That's what it's saying. So you say to your subconscious, hey, it's okay, I hear you, but you know what? This is 21st century Britain or 21st century USA or wherever you happen to be. And that's actually not going to happen. So I hear you. I'm just going to put that to one side. I know I feel, and the feeling is important, I'm feeling this way because I'm just breaking the old subconscious programming. It's not a real danger. When I say that, I don't dismiss the way you feel because, oh my God, it absolutely, and as I say, it's completely destroyed my health. We're not dismissing that. We're acknowledging it for what it is. It's the subconscious sabotage because you've gone too far and you're too good. So that's the second point. And then the third thing is learn to pull back your power because that changes everything, absolutely everything.
Love it. And this has been such a powerful conversation. I know we haven't had a very long time. I mean, I'd love to go into more detail, but for our audience members who are feeling called to go deeper with this work, can you tell me about the work you've got coming up and how our audience can experience these transformations with you directly?
Okay. So what have I got coming up? Well, I've got some beautiful new body of work that I'm just bringing in. So what I'm doing is I will be, in fact, teaching women for the first time how to go into their own field to access this yin power and how to use that to literally work with the quantum field, change the power dynamics, change the energies. So this is brand new. People have been asking me to do this for so many years. And then finally the universe said, yes, Anne, you've got to do it. So it's yin power alchemy. And within that, I've got there's a body of work come in called the Kairos codes. So this is these are their activations, like initiations, and let me explain what that means. We are recoding the blueprint of female power deep into not only your subconscious mind, but into the heart, into the body. So when we do that, it has the effect of cancelling out all of the negativity in our own subconscious, from the group conscious, from history, from genetics, and it's going through all the aspects of the way that women are sabotaged. So, we're sabotaged in terms of not being able to take up space, not being able to shine so brightly, and not being able to allow our sexual energy to come in, not being able to keep boundaries, having to put ourselves, last. This thing I talked about, having to do things the male way, not allowing the female way, and there's a whole series of this beautiful, beautiful initiation energies, which I'll be doing in this, as well as teaching you how to use the yin power, and then use these codes to kind of paint the field, shift the field the way that you want it to be. So I know that this isn't like a healing modality where you just say, right, I'm just going to channel this energy. This is how you say, right, this is a particular issue that I'm dealing with. So I'm going to shift the way that the energy in my body is. That becomes like your container for the alchemy, the transformation, like the cauldron, if you like. So you can put that in, and then with that, like laser precision, you can then change what the energy is to work with the field. So I'm very excited about that. Very excited. So that's the new stuff that's coming in. If you want to, I do one-to-one, and I have a lot of resources and sort of self-study, all this kind of thing. So the whole point is that no matter where you're coming in, you might be coming in saying, right, I've just got this issue with that, my power's draining to my partner, I need help with that. Then you start by pulling back your power, and that will be huge. If you want to go deeper, I have courses or resources to do that. If you want to go really deep, and I should mention here that we have, and I say we, I mean everybody, we have frozen experiences in our bodies, in our subconscious, from our lives. So if you have things that are traumatic or abusive, if you've had sexual abuse of any kind, if you've had a shock, bereavement, any kind of controlling relationship, if you had a violent parent, if you were bullied at school, all these things lock in the body, in the subconscious, and they act as permanent power drains. So if you have those things, your ability to hold power is already really low because of your life experience. So what I do one-to-one is I will go into your timeline and I will repower those experiences, plugging the power drains. So your ability to hold power just expands exponentially, and enabling you to then do whatever you want and hold your power. It's like if you've got a colander or a sieve, try pouring water into it. You're going to get nowhere. You have to have a vessel that can hold the power, and that's what the work is all about. And if you want to go further, the really deep stuff into doing that yourself and becoming what I would call an alchemical priestess, a woman who uses the field, her own consciousness, to create the space to make precision changes in the energy, then it's the Yin Power Alchemy Chaos Codes that is going to be for you.
Very exciting stuff. And thank you for this powerful conversation. Your work is a true gift to women everywhere who are ready to stop hiding, stop apologizing, and step fully into the unapologetic truth. If Anne's words have resonated with you, and I know they did, make sure that you connect with her, dive deep into her resources, and explore the incredible work she's doing. She's helping women rewire their subconscious, reclaim their power. You'll find all the links in the description below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay unapologetically you.